Hey everybody, Plasma 1945 here, and I'm going to give you guys an overview of all the key bindings that are used for my Logitech Extreme 3D and keyboard setup for the FC3 SU27 plane. The great thing is you can move these over to a flanker and maybe even an F15 fairly easily. But I'll give you the logic and why and how these are set up. It's also done by using a number pad. So you can get a number pad for about $20 at the store. I've got a Targus one, and I put a lot of my bindings to that, so that the only thing I really need to reach for the keyboard for is to maybe press G once to bring up my gear, and then everything else is on the number pad and pretty much on my joystick. Now these settings are transferable to other FC3 aircraft in dcsworld, such as the MiG-29 and even the F-15 and the A-10 with a little bit of tweaking. I'm going to have the keyboard set up so you can see what buttons I'm pressing, and same thing with the stick so you can see what movement I'm putting in and how I'm flying with it. Now guys, if you do like this video, make sure you subscribe, hit thumbs up, and let's jump into it. Keep something in mind though, that these are the bindings that I've set up for myself, and they do work really well for me, but there's a couple of extra buttons like number 7 and 8 on the joystick that you can bind to something else for your own purposes. But the setup is great and works in VR and outside of VR. Alright, first things first, let's talk about that number pad and getting the extra buttons there. Let's do it one row at a time. So we got the tab key, engine start, AWACS Bogey Dope, back return to search, 7, cockpit view, theater map view, arcade chase view, and then the minus key is canopy open close. The next row is released weapon view, so it follows the bomb after I've dropped it or a missile. Very cool little view. 5 is to sentry view, leave that alone, that's super useful even if you're in VR. Number pad 6 is your actually I don't think I've got it bound to anything. Alright, spare button. Plus is my EO system. 1 we've talked about, that's my air to ground. 2 is my Nosewheel steering. 3 are my brakes. Enter is my radar on and off. Super cool, right? Awesome. Let's move over to the joystick. Let's walk through it. Joy button 1, that's your trigger. That's your weapon fire. You've got a 4-way POV hat. These are the target designator, up, down, right, and left. You have something called a modifier. So for example, if I hold down the left control key and move the trim hat stick up, down, right, left, that will actually adjust my trim. If I let go of the control key, it is now my target designator. So now I've got 2 sets of functions out of 1 POV hat that this joystick has. But let's go even further. I'm going to hold down the left shift here. And as I now move the POV hat, now it's adjusting my scan zone. So radar pointing higher or lower, or left or right. So strongly recommend you do that. And again, that binding, so let's see if I want to find scan zone left up, double click on it. I'm going to hold down the left shift key on the keyboard, and then I'm going to tap my POV hat once to the left. And there it is. Now it's set up with a modifier. Control and shift are really easy to find on the keyboard if you're even in VR, because they're sort of at the very bottom left hand corner of the keyboard. Alright, let's keep walking through the buttons. Starting clockwise to next to the POV hat, the button that has the number 6 on it, this is my air combat vertical scan, that's for close range fighting. The button underneath that is my cannon button, because usually when you're in vertical scan you're going to go into dogfight next. So right next to it, right under it, the bigger button, number 4, that's my button for cannon. On the opposite side, the top button is my BVR mode, and the button underneath it is weapon change, because likely in BVR you're going to start selecting your weapons, so whether you're going to fire an ET or an ER. So kind of the logic is right side is within visual range vertical scan, on the left side it's the BVR mode and weapon change. Right under my thumb is button 2, that's target lock. You're going to be pressing that button a lot and holding it down to lock targets. Alright, we've got 6 more buttons. So along the base of the joystick, we're going to start at the top on the inside. This is wheel brake on. If you're using a number pad, you can convert that to something else. That is button 8. So moving right along, button 7, that's launch permission override. Sometimes you want to tell your plane to override that missile launch. Again, that's my preference. You can change it to something else. Down from that, the next 2 buttons. On the inside, again, using the logic that right side is within visual range, left side is BVR mode. So right side is button number 10. And this button is to dispense flares because within visual range, right? They're going to fire Fox 2s on you. Next to it is chaff dispense. Down from that, some more. We've got radar zoom in and out to change the scale of the radar. And that's it. That is the full setup on the Logitech Extreme 3D. Straightforward, simple, and easy to use. So let's put that together and let's go find a target to shoot at.